Morning, ladles and jelly spoons. Welcome to Pissweek Airlines Flight 709 on Tuesday. It's the 7th of May, is it? Wouldn't have a clue. Taking off, we've done all the final checks. 7:10 a.m. Tuesday morning in Australia, in some parts of Australia. Pleasant 14 degrees Celsius, heading for a top of 20 degrees Celsius today. I miss you guys. That being said, if you board this flight, please bring your own snacks, beverages, and seatbelts and life jackets. Got to wear a life jacket when you're plummeting to the earth in a plane out of control. It's going to save you. Scout, I've missed you too. Been busy. It's been summer. Just been, things. I've written my schedule for YouTube. The days are getting shorter with the daylight hours. I'm actually getting home a little bit later than usual because it's that slight shift in temperatures. It's dark when it's normally light. And, there's a snooze button on your clock, on your phone for a reason. Let's not. This track that's reversing, Wombat's recycling. Go Wombat. A lot of Australian dudes have the nickname Wombat. They're not recycling Wombat, Scout. It's all right. Here's Jarman's mural over here too. If you look, the sign, my phone thing is right in the way. Can you see the water tank with the frog on it? I'll drive slowly. Just there on my left. Anyway, I got to accelerate again. There's traffic. More snow for you. Far out. I bet you're waiting for spring. Yeah, we're sorry, I just did when someone's speeding and you're in a 40 zone, so you just pump your brakes a little bit to make them slow down. I just did that to an old lady who's grinning. She's not from Tasmania, tailgated by a grandmother. You saw it, Ace. I'm going to do a walk around sometime soon as well. Which state is burgundy plates? I can't remember. Queensland, maybe? Actually tailgated by, the Blue Rinse Brigade. She's backed off now. But still, she had a big grin on her face. I'm like, you're doing about 60 in a 50 zone that's about to become a 40 zone because there's a bus stop for school kids and it's our little local shopping district. And it's also quite it's a couple of pretty sharp little bends as well. She's just grinning like a Cheshire cat. Oh, my God. Go, Granny, go. I mean, don't get me wrong. Grannies who can find the accelerator, I'm all for them. Just don't get them right up my ass, mate. But, yeah, I've missed you guys so much, and I do have a schedule set up. And, I think those of you who know me well know that I'm very much a summer water baby kind of person. So it just, I don't even go to the gym as much in summer because I don't want to be in a building when there is sun shining and waves rolling and things to be done. And also I've been doing a lot of gardening. Like I've been planting lots of stuff and mulching, and that all takes time. And socially, I've had so much on as well. It's just been. She is a bit of a Speedy Gonzales. Damn it! Now there's a lot more cars on the road. She's gonna tailgate me again, I reckon. But she doesn't have a Tasmanian plate, so I'm happy to, give her a leave pass for being a bit unfamiliar. But I mean, go through a 40 zone and think you're gonna, not have somebody try to slow you down a little just to stop people catching the bus from being present. I am enjoying my life. I do miss you guys, and on YouTube every day, pounding away. That sounded rude. Pounding away on my keyboard, guys. And the thing is, for you guys and most people that watch YouTube, when it's nighttime for you, that's like the middle of the day for me. So it's really tricky because I've got a lot of things that I like to do that require me to be absolutely nowhere near the indoors of my house or my laptop or phone even. Hey, Blank Slate. Good to see you, beautiful. And it's a double-edged sword, I look at some YouTubers and wonder, when do they ever clean their homes or cook a meal from scratch or hang out some washing? There's very little discussion. Even though these creators, many of them share a lot about their lives, there's very little mention of just, stuff we all do, allegedly. I mean, how do they even go live for as long as they do without going to the loo, We have intermissions and music and everyone can top up their mega pints and, yeah, it's a Queensland plate. Bloody Queenslanders, tailgating grannies. You wonder that too, yeah. And, there's actually channels that go live when they're cleaning. That's when they're like, okay, I'm home. I do have to do a bit of cleaning, but I'm just going to go live and chat to people while I scrub my toilet. But so many other ones, you just sort of go. Just recently, I've been working on updating my resume, and that it takes time, And then I had about 6 major bills that I had to pay, and I had a bit of work done at the house. And it took a morning to do all of that stuff, like sort of, the computer paperwork, sort of bill paying, updating resumes, all that sort of shit. And half a day was gone. And it was a really beautiful day outside, and I basically finished all the computer stuff and I couldn't wait to shut my computer down and go to the beach. I didn't want to then go live on YouTube and miss a whole day of beautiful weather. I had no choice but to do all of that paperwork, but we've got the ATO here, the Australian Tax Office, has put out a new requirement for people that work from home because it's becoming such a thing now. And in the past, they used to be very loose with their sort of calculations of any tax breaks working from home. They just sort of calculate, how long you work from home, what that equated to in your internet usage, electricity, heating, depreciation, all that sort of shit. But now, because it's become a thing, they've got this spreadsheet that's incredibly detailed. And you've got to log, full of the hours that you're doing, and they're going to be way more specific calculating all of the deductions. So, setting that up was also, because I work from home sometimes, that was all, time consuming. But I sort of think, what are these other YouTubers, like, who's doing all their bill paying and tax spreadsheets and resume updating, let alone all the cleaning and cooking? So, I mean, I'm happy to soldier on it. I love our community. I love you guys. But the formula to take off on YouTube, like if I was Grizzly True Crime, for example, if I was Gazella and I wasn't working and could literally just build my channel 7 days a week, bring it on. But I have bills to pay. You need, in my opinion, a second income, which per household has, to fund you while you're building your channel. And once it's built and it's lucrative and it's growing, that investment of time is worth it. But you can't, I can't do that without a second income, to fall back on. So I can just throw myself 100% into my channels. But I have started scheduling, and I'm trying to dedicate 1 day a week to just making a few videos for each channel and then scheduling them so they all go up on different days and scheduling some lives. And I do have a new channel that I'm not sure if I'm going to rename, rebrand the Shitty Kitty Kitchen and use that one, or whether I'm just going to build one from scratch. I'd private everything on the Shitty Kitty Kitchen, but I'm waiting on all the branding. It's just not quite right at the moment. Yeah, I've got a new channel because I need another one. That's just what I need, another channel. But yeah, I do. It's a topic that affects a lot of people, so I kind of feel like it'll be fun to do a bit of a bit of an awareness. No, not a bit of awareness, because I think it gets downplayed a lot and people just don't realise exactly what it is that's going on. But also, a good supportive sort of community where people can share their stories as well. And, down the track I might even get some experts on, and it's got nothing to do with crime or cooking or Tasmania. And I've been sort of loosely scheduling that channel as well. You'll all know about it soon enough. So I haven't really been able to do much even scouting around on YouTube lately. Although, I mean, well, since the Alan Murdoch guilty verdicts, my YouTubing journey has been a bit scant. I started listening to a channel that looks at scammers and catfish and has people on there telling their stories, and I'd listened to a few episodes while I was gardening and driving and stuff, and I'm so annoyed by them. Well, we'll get excited if it works, but it should be a really good platform, I'm hoping, for people, and it might attract some fresh faces as well, which, you know, our community is really lovely, and I want like-minded people to find us. So I'll keep working on my little channels that I've got, but this other channel will also bring some new faces into our world, which I think is really important. I get so complacent if anything becomes too familiar or routine, and I get such a kick out of seeing I've got a new subscriber or somebody new coming into chat, because it's like, you beauty, we've got another like-minded person that's found us. But I also get really excited by watching things grow. You know, I love all my plants and nurturing them and chatting to them and mulching and all the things you've got to do, and then watching them grow. And YouTube's no different. If you're putting a lot of time into something, you want to see growth. Well, I do. I don't like things just becoming predictable and stagnant. So it could be fun. Pardon me. Oh, do you still listen to the soft sticks when you're gardening? I don't even know if I've finished putting that up. I do get very into the computer stuff and everything in winter. Yes, it's your favourite causeway, and we're crawling too because I left home a little bit later than usual. So I really was in two minds about going live, because driving in, because one of the few things I had spotted bouncing around on YouTube was Bullhorn Betty getting ripped to shreds for driving and reading chat, and being live and reading her chat. But I mean, it looked like she was, you know, cruising down the highway in the hot, hot sun and reading the chat as she was flying along. Which, you guys know, I'm a bit more of I just chat when I can't read chat. But like right now, where we're literally doing 15 kilometres an hour, if that. Plus, I don't have 83,000 death vultures all in chat either. It's getting that little bit cooler. Both of the girls that I worked with at the office yesterday have what appears to be a cold or a flu, and I'm just starting to feel like, have I now caught it as well? Kind of don't like people coming into the office when they're sick at all. Dislike it intensely. They're both working from home today, but it's like, why didn't you do that yesterday? I've been pretty good at knocking colds and flus on the head for the last few years, so put out positive vibes, but I don't know what caused that little sneeze before. A sneeze is always concerning these days. So we're crossing Scout's Causeway. It's her causeway now. We've renamed it. Well, we did, sorry. But this one's pretty stunning today. Come on, McGee's Bridge. Look at it. I mean, hello. The sun reflecting on the cliffs and the sandstone, and But it is getting colder. People are starting to wear beanies on their morning walks. So yeah, scouting around this morning. Okay, so I did actually just listen right before while I was getting ready to the opening statements of a trial that I didn't know anything about. The ice cream truck revenge dude. That's going to be an absolute doozy. That has everything. Horrible too. Like, trying to find this dude called Creeper. I couldn't believe it because the opening statements were quite. I mean, it's horrible because 2 people were murdered and other people were seriously injured. But listening to the prosecutor referring to Creeper kind of made me chuckle a little bit. But yeah, I hadn't even heard about that one. I don't know if you guys have this dude, Michael, can't remember his surname, who had an ice cream truck, got robbed by what he initially said was a black woman and 2 black men. And he got shot as well, and they stole $12. And the cops didn't have any luck in finding or arresting any suspects. So this dude turned into a sleuthy sleuther, and investigated it himself. And during the investigation that he was conducting, his belief that it was 2 black men shifted to it was 2 Hispanic men, one of whom had the nickname Creeper and actually had it tattooed on his arm. And this dude was like calling the cops and saying, I'm finding out all this information, but he couldn't give the cops the names of all of these alleged witnesses who were giving him information. So they weren't able to follow anything up or arrest anyone. And so I think it was Thanksgiving Eve, he took it upon himself to rock up to this house in the street where Creeper lived, but not the house where Creeper lived. But there are these 6 dudes playing poker and getting stoned and drunk, sitting out on a porch. And he did a JLR, like he got a T-shirt made that had police in big block letters across the front of it, or law enforcement or something like that. The prosecutor was a bit vague in what word was used. And he had a gun, and they assumed he was a cop. And he got them all to show their driver's licenses and asked where Creeper was, and they were like, Creeper ain't here. So they all had to show their driver's licenses to prove they weren't Creeper. But it made them all get down on their knees, and then he, assassination style, execution style, shot and killed 2, and then injured 2 brothers, and then injured several others. And that's as far as it had got. That's what was going on when I had to leave. To head to work. But it's weird that I just thought, I'll have a listen and see what this one's about. That there's, this citizen, surprise, surprise, doing his own sleuthing. And it's ended very, very badly. And destroyed so many families. It's an absolute doozy. But once again, Why are people thinking they're better than the cops and taking the law into their own hands? I mean, I know it's a slightly different kind of sleuthing. Like, he wasn't following a story online and then took it real life. This was all happening real life. But, you know, if you want to do your own investigating and pass some info onto the cops, hoping for an arrest, go for it. But if you can't provide names of people who've told you this shit, then what are the cops supposed to do? And I have made some notes around home. I can't remember the case, but there's been quite a lot of scathing commentary by different people in different um, crime-associated communities talking about the sleuths. Like, the growth of, and I hate calling it the true crime genre, because this new crowd, as we know, are nothing like the original true crime genre at all. Sleuthing whilst ignoring facts is not true crime. I kind of It kind of sucks that it's become so popular, because it's like everything. All these idiots roll into town and they don't understand or pay attention or do some research. They don't understand how something works, and they all decide this is how it's going to work, and they just destroy what used to be, you know, a sort of niche community of, you know, intelligent, like-minded thinkers. Now you've got these vigilantes that don't pay attention to the facts, don't understand how law works, and who think it's okay to harass and destroy people's lives because they have the misfortune of being connected to what's already a horrible story. And they're creating more victims, and there's never any remorse, there's no apology. So it makes me angry that, well, not angry, sad, really, that they call themselves true crime, and that the general public and even the media continue to call this new generation true crime, because they're just not. They're actually criminals in their own right, really, you know, in my opinion. Like, even if it's just, not just, but even committing moral crimes, like creating new victims in stories that already have too many victims. And I've always said one victim's too many victims, right? But that sort of OG true crime community that was, you know, a bit, you know, like when they sort of have an offbeat movie and it's, they sort of refer to it, you know, as a cult, because it's this sort of obscure, not using cult in the Daybell style, but, you know, that like a movie had a cult following. Back in the day, true crime had a cult following. It wasn't this insanely huge community with podcasts and shit happening all over the place and all these people making out that they're heavily into true crime because they listen to My Favourite Murder, you know. And don't get me wrong, My Favourite Murder, those girls deserve every success they get. But yeah, it's just brought all of these people into this arena. And, you know, no one explained the rules to them at the start. It's a total clusterfuck, Scout. True, yeah, ex-cops can't insert themselves in anything either, unless they're invited to as a consultant, I guess. But, oh, it's a clusterfuck. The OG true crime people, we need a... Well, maybe we just always put OG at the front. The sleuths are young and they know what OG means, and they're not OG. They're the destroyers. The destroyers. Oh my God, guys, I read last night on the Twitters while I was tweeting Survivor, because that's another thing. My absolute obsession, my favourite show, Survivor. I do like, I love it. I've seen every American season more than once. I've still got quite a few South African seasons to watch, but we currently have an Australian season underway. And I'm pretty sure on Twitter yesterday it was saying you guys in the US are going to be able to watch it. If you love Survivor, you must watch this season, because diehard Survivor fans the world over, not just Australians, the world over, are saying it is possibly one of the greatest, if not the greatest season of Survivor ever. It's so good. It's so good. I'm proud to be an OG too, Scout. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror at the end of the day if I was in the sleuthing community and think, wow, what a great, meaningful day I just had, just basically spreading bullshit all over YouTube and destroying innocent people's lives. And if anyone's calling out what we're doing, you know, they're harassing us and attacking us. Have you noticed that? Like OG true crime, you know, criticism or, hey, you know, you got that fact wrong, we'd be like, oh shit, my bad, I did, I'm sorry, so sorry. But the sleuthing community, because there's a few communities, including ours, calling them out, we're attacking them, we're harassing them, we're yelling at them. I haven't even started to yell. I had a client yesterday who said, you have got to be one of the nicest people I've ever spoken to. You make me feel relaxed and happy. I wouldn't want to go up against you in court, though. And I'm like, how does everyone have that impression of me? I've had that my whole life. People are like, oh, yeah, wouldn't want to be up against you in court. I mean, I'm fun in court and I stick to the facts. And I'm pretty brief. Like, I know that juries get really fatigued by lawyers that crap on for days on end. But I'm not like this vicious, adversarial, yelling and screaming, terrifying lawyer. I don't know why people see that in me. I'm really passive. Like, I don't like being yelled at in my real life. If I've got a friend or family member who raises their voice at me, I'm like, can we just, you know, not? Can we take a bit of time out, make a cup of tea, just go and ponder, and then have a discussion? But I'm really passive. Like, no one has raised their voice or had an argument in my house. I built that house 9 years ago in October, and there's never been an argument in that house. And I had a house guest once who was really negative and saying some pretty vile things. And I said to her, you're not going to shift the energy in this house. Like, we can go for a walk on the beach and you can get this shit off your chest, but you're starting to create some bad juju and I don't want it. So either loosen up and have some fun, or if you've got things to say and you need to vent, let's do it down on the beach. But you're not doing it in my little house of love. Thank you very much. We'll have a bit of chatting time in the car park of love. So a couple of the vultures, the death vultures, I actually thought AD was, armchair detective, I thought he was gone. I hadn't heard his name or seen anything. Not that I'm subscribed to his channels, but, the days of heaps of people going live all the time talking about him seemed to be over. I'd forgotten about him, I guess. And then Shady Man sent me a couple of links to some YouTube videos that were about AD, and I'm like, holy fuck. The guy's still around. And then this morning in my timeline, there was a video by, I think her name's Helen Chafer, or Chaffer, Chaffer. I was like, oh, let's see what he's up to. And she was being scathing about him, thank God, because I was hoping it wasn't like a pro-AD notification in my timeline. But isn't that bizarre? Like, I literally clicked on one link from Shady Man, and now I'm getting notifications about him again. But he's now milking Nicola Bulley's story and is on the She Was Murdered campaign. And he's smarmy as fuck, sitting up there saying he had more viewers than even the news channels talking about Nicola, which showed, that he was essentially the expert on this theory that she's murdered. It's like, no, nobody's covering it anymore because she's been found. But he's clearly going down the Nicola was murdered road. Yeah, calling out bullshit instead of yelling at them, exactly. So I'm thinking, oh, great, here we go. And I think Helen actually mentions in her title the cash cow. And I had the same thought because I was listening to him going, yep. But then the prick sits there and takes full credit for the video of Chris Watts that showed the girls were alive when they got into the truck, which, he didn't actually discover that. It was one of his moderators. Some of you may know this story, which is horrible. One of his moderators spotted it and told him about it. He showed it on his channel a million times, took full credit for finding it, never once credited this woman, and she died. And I think she even got her wrench taken off her. Isn't that fucked up? Like, if one of you guys found something, say with Toy Accordingly, and you sent it to, I do have some sad news actually about that trial. I'll tell you in a minute. It's not going to impact the trial at all. It's just some sad news. But if you found something and sent it to me, even like I do with batshit, you guys get credit. I will always give credit where it's due. Always. Because some of you know, one of my biggest peeves is people taking credit for somebody else's ideas or work. And it's happened to me a lot on YouTube, and I've seen YouTubers plagiarizing someone's writing and not crediting them, making out that they wrote it themselves. That stuff just flips my tit. I do have morals and values, which is why I still wonder why am I here? Because I found the community that has morals and values. And there are some other communities out there that do as well. But yeah, plagiarism just, and I think because I've come from a background of writing and comedy, and if you do someone else's joke on stage as a comedian, you're called a hack. Why doesn't that and it's not a positive word, like why isn't that called out on YouTube as well? I've seen creators, like I said, literally reading somebody's work, written work, word for word, and making out that it's their work. And it's disgusting. But yeah, so AD making out that he, still telling the world that he found that video, and then claiming in finding that video he exonerated Shanann because it proved the kids were alive and she hadn't killed them. And what did her family do? They tried to sue him. And I'm listening to her going, he's either got this whole new audience that's just believing all this shit, and his old crew of supporters that still believe all this shit. I'd forgotten about him, so I'll probably be doing some reaction stuff to him. Then I saw, unfortunately, a tiny little heels in the air clip of Bullhorn Betty, who appears to be naked. You can only sort of see her shoulders and head, but her bleached mullet is rather unruly. It looks like she's literally just sat up in bed naked and put a video on. And I was like, I didn't need to see that. And then JLR, I love how they've all got, is it not anagrams, but, shortened versions of their names: BHB, JLR, AD, MGL, J for J. I saw a JLR video on the weekend, and I'm trying to remember what the fuck it was, but it was ridiculous. Again, that guy is so ridiculous. And the new sleuthing community, not the OG true crime crowd, the new sleuthing community, who keep suggesting, have you seen JLR? He does all this stuff. He's got all the information and all the knowledge. And I'm like, oh, how did this happen? How did JLR and BHB become the authorities in the true crime world? Holy shit. Honestly, couldn't write this stuff. It's too ridiculous. Oh, looks like we're on level 2. Damn, it's got a reserved sign. Is this one reserved? Damn it, yes. This one doesn't. Hey, Mobwatch. It is a clown world. It is definitely a clown world. Oh, they're all shockers. They're so much fun to react to, though. Do you reckon this sign here indicates that it can't still be reserved, right? Because there's no license. There's no rego. But it's like there's a whole row. No, I think I'm fine. Because the one to my right has number 1 on it. So, and then it goes 2, 3, 4, and it's all the same company. I think we're good. Hey, Joey. They are hideous, Scout, but I love reacting to them. I'm in my element when I'm ad-libbing, I think. I'm just going to put on a little bit of makeup. I think it's just me and Michaela in the office today, so, and I don't have any face-to-face clients, so I'm just going to do a really basic bit of mascara. A little bit of powder because my I've got this beauty moisturizer for my face, which is absolutely beautiful, but it's not water-based. So it kind of, it's not that it turns my face into an oil slick, but it gets absorbed, but it sort of leaves this beautiful, soft, yummy feel, but it's a little bit shiny. It's a little bit shiny. Yeah, AJ's still around. And he's still a cunt. Mega, in fact. So now he's, taking credit for being the most, the greatest authority on the Nicola Bully case because he did a quick sweep of channels and he had the biggest audience. And it's like, dude, it's because people aren't covering it. They've moved on. And so should you. But no, he's obviously setting himself up to milk her tragic death for the next 5 years. I mean, I don't even know if he still gets audiences talking about Chris Watts and so on. I don't even know if he's still doing that. I didn't go to his channel. I happened to find in my notifications a channel called, I think it's Helen, either Chafer or Chaffer, popped up, and I'm like, oh my God, AD is still. Well, I sort of knew he was because Shady Man had sent me some links, and admittedly, I clicked on the first one. I'm like, I don't care about him. He's horrible. And then she sent me another one. I'm like, okay, there's people that are clearly outing him, but yeah. So Nicola Bully's his latest cash cow that he's going to milk till the end of time. But how dare he sit there and say that him discovering the video of the girls in the, like, Bella and Cece still being alive exonerated Shanann, and how was he repaid? Shanann's family sued him. There was a lot more to what you were doing than just that, pal. You weren't the hero. You didn't exonerate Shanann. You slagged her off. You are still maintaining Nicole Kessinger had something to do with it, even though you think by now, if she had anything to do with it, you think she might be in jail too, you'd think. 2018. It'll be 5 years in August, for God's sake. Do you reckon the police are still looking into whether Nicole was involved? No, case closed. He's in jail. The end. So, yeah, just what Nicola Bully's family needs is that fuckwit going on a campaign to prove that she was murdered, and he will milk it for years. He'll make a lot of money. But, yeah, painting himself as this amazing hero for exonerating Shanann Watts. Unbelievable. Oh, doing the dishes with Dave? He's still on about, yeah, there's something wrong for sure. He's like an ex-husband that won't go away. Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know they got lawyers. I don't know if they sued him or not, but he was saying that he was sued. But he might have said that they tried to sue him. I don't know. I was probably brushing my teeth while I was listening to Helen's video, but, he was basically implying that he had cleared Shanann's name and the rechecks, what did they do? They turned on him, you know. I'm sure I heard the word sued or tried to sue, something like that. But he wasn't even the one who spotted the girls, if it was the girls in that video. It was one of his mods, and he took full credit for it and never credited her. And I think she had her wrench taken off her and she was essentially kicked out of the community. And then I think she was terminally ill and she died without him ever crediting her for finding that, you know? And he's telling his subscribers that he's this, you know, amazing man who worked out the footage and it essentially exonerated Shanann Watts and we'll recheck. I don't like calling her Shanann Watts. Yeah, horrible. But I don't think his new subs know all of that. Just like, you know, JLR's new subs or Truth and Transparency's new subs or JS for Justice's new subs know their sordid histories either. You know, it's just the way of YouTube. People are forgiven or a whole new audience rolls on in and they don't do their due diligence. They just take these people as, I mean, there's a group, I've told you guys before that I'm in an Idaho 4 Facebook group that I've only ever commented in once, which was on a thread where two people were debating which floor Bethany and Dylan were on. But they kept referencing the second floor, and I just put a comment. I said, I think you're both wrong. It was Luca who lived on the second floor. That's the only comment I've made in there because it's bloody insane. And one of the reasons it's insane is that a lot of people in there consider Lana, JLR, and Ashley Banfield to be the greatest experts of true crime and the Idaho 4 case more than anyone else. And they're constantly saying, you've got to watch them, you've got to put them on, they know everything. And it's like, ooh, how did that happen? How did the laughing jokes of the true crime, the OG true crime community, how have they become the authorities in the sleuthing world? Well, it's because they're sensationalistic. And if you're going to be a sleuth, you don't want the facts. You want the drama, the sensationalism, the theories based on nothing, the innocent people thrown under the bus, new victims being created, people going offline and standing outside their houses yelling through bullhorns. That's what the sleuths want. They want all that shit. They don't want these to be real-life crime cases. They want these to be the best TV show they've ever watched. But the bonus is it's a TV show where you can get an address and you can drive yourself to that address and sit out front of some poor family who've just lost their kid or... Yeah, it's fucked up, man. Fucked up. So Toy, accordingly, before I forget, this is just a bit of sad news. The day that Rajwinder Singh was, I was going to say extradited, but no, it was the day he was charged with murder last week. That very same day, Toya's beautiful dog, Indy, died. Some of you who are following that story with me know that Toya was murdered when she was walking her dog, Indy, on the beach, and Indy was found tied up to a tree, but they couldn't find Toya. And the next morning, the search kicked off to find her, and unfortunately her dad was part of the search party and he found her. But yeah, sadly, beautiful Indy. So what a day for that family. And on the one hand, they're a step closer to getting justice for their daughter and friend and niece and cousin. But yeah, beautiful Indy died the same day. Isn't that sad? It just, Indy was one of the, sort of, well, probably the last connection to Toya, I guess, in that way. Like, yeah, so it was a bit sad. And I heard about that on the weekend, I think. But her family is still so optimistic that they're going to get justice for Toya. But yeah, I just thought that was a little sad twist to her already sad story. All right, I'm reading chat now. I don't know how they sleep at night either, Mob Watch. Love having you here too, by the way. Talking a bit earlier before you arrived about the new people that are finding our community, and um, so cool to have you here. Kay is still fighting that lawsuit, the Andreaccio family lawsuit, but she's also on YouTube. Her former, at one point, pretty lucrative, well, very lucrative. I mean, she was able to leave her job. Channel is no more. But that lawsuit's still underway. If you wanted an update on that one, Rakita Law mentions it from time to time because he's following it because she accused him of being a pedophile. So he doesn't like her very much, and he does updates on that case from time to time on his channel. Dave cozied up with the Watts family. He actually went to North Carolina to go see them. He went to Denver. Yeah, I know. And what's his game like? I mean, it's one thing for Australians to show an interest in cases from other parts of the world, especially the US, because you guys televise and we don't. But for an Australian to do that, there's a level of obsession there that's just insane. I mean, there's cases that happened in Tassie that I still hope don't remain cold till the end of time. And I follow updates and everything religiously. But I haven't even taken myself to the town where the murder of Victoria Faso, for example, which is one case that I follow very closely because it was one of the first cases that hooked me into true crime when I was a youngster. I mean, I've thought about going up to Beaumaris Beach because it's beautiful, and doing a little story just to keep her story out there. But they're still investigating that, and they had a massive, there's a huge amount of media on it last year. Like, it's still being looked into. And if I was, if I could dedicate time to a channel like Mike does with that chapter, sure, I'd go on location when you're covering a case that happened where you live. But for him to fly halfway across the world, it just is bizarre. Oh, speaking of bizarre too, I had scheduled it, but I'm not sure if there's much point now, but Constance Martin and Mark Gordon, the couple that were on the run in the UK and have been charged with it's a really strange charge. It's a manslaughter charge, but their newborn baby died, and probably from neglect by the sounds of it, and they found her remains, and her name was Victoria. Really tragic story, and I do wonder what went wrong with Constance. I feel bad saying BK may be guilty purely because I don't believe they have proved it's actually him. Saying he may be guilty, huh? Do you mean not guilty? We don't know enough yet to make that decision though, Joey. That's the thing. Like, he is don't feel, if you're saying not guilty, if you missed out the word not, um, he is innocent until proven guilty. I mean, that's how the system works. So I'm with you. You want the correct person. But at the moment, and I mean, we've talked about it a bit on this channel, but, you know, the original probable cause affidavit is only a fraction of what the cops have, but they have to put enough information in that affidavit to show they had cause to charge him. But it's, yeah, there's so much more that they know that we don't, potentially. But I did a live talking about that and saying if I was his defence lawyer, I'd be able to explain away most of the stuff in that affidavit. I know, sad news about little Indy. I remember the people outside Brian Laundrie's house making a trail of laundry baskets because of their lace. Yep, wasn't that ridiculous? In fact, that what did I watch the other day? There's a doco on YouTube talking about the. I have to find it. I've made a note of it. There's a doco, well, not a doco, but there's a video on YouTube talking about the online sleuths. And JLR features at the start of that screaming out outside the Murdoch trial. That's true. Toya and Indy are together. Yeah, he's very un-Australian. He does make us look bad. Yes, and I've covered her too. She falsely accused the professor. Yeah, not good. I thought you, yeah. Yeah, of course. He's been tried by the public for sure. Tried by media too. And yeah, the chances of so many people getting fair trials because of all of this social media interference is getting less and less every time. And that's the point of me calling this stuff out because, you know, finding an impartial jury is going to be very difficult with the amount of attention that these cases get now and the number of people online that are spreading bullshit. Plus, you've got Ashley Banfield doing it as well. And, I mean, just getting an impartial jury is going to be incredibly difficult. And then on top of that, the fair trial aspect. I mean, look at, you know, one of the jurors in the Murdoch trial was dismissed because they'd been talking about the case outside of the jury pool. And that's a very old standard as a juror that you don't do that. In the Brian Lehman trial in Australia, which ended up a juror had to be excused, and the whole trial collapsed because they dropped a folder and they'd been Googling and researching sexual assault cases, and so that trial fell over. And so at the moment you've got a guy who is accused of rape and a possible victim. Who knows who's telling the truth in that, but both of them are fucked. You know, one of them, if Brittany Higgins is entitled to justice, she hasn't got it. And if he's innocent, he hasn't had the opportunity to prove it. JLR's on his Murdoch tour today. Live a bunch of times, going to gravesite. Yeah, what was he doing in the video I saw? I was like, oh my God, this guy's insane. And every time he says Alex murder, I'm like, how can you watch a trial and hear everyone saying Alec Murdoch for weeks on end and still get the name wrong? The same as victims' names. It drives me up the wall. And people, if you call them out, they go, well, it's just me. I'm not very good with names. It's like, if you are going to put yourself out as a true crime channel who's researching a case, surely the pronunciation of names is the first thing you get your head around. They all excuse and say, oh, yeah, I've never been good at pronouncing names. But you're actually showing footage and reacting to it. And in the footage, they're pronouncing the name correctly and you're still pronouncing it incorrectly. Like, what the fuck? Oh, Banfield's a nightmare. Josie, hello. Hi, Josie. Welcome. They do, and they make a lot of money. And they're feeding the thirsty people who want all the drama, and it's a bloody mess. And I will continue to call it out till the cows come home. Where did that expression come from? It's obviously to do with farming, right? Is it something like, I'll eat my dinner, I won't eat dinner until the cows come home, because you've got to be out there bringing the cows back into the paddock? Like, I don't know. These are the issues we address on this channel. Well, I mean, how bizarre is that too? That blows my mind. You know, the day after the guilty verdicts, there are jury members giving interviews. You'd never see that in Australia in a million years. I can't get over it. It's like they sort of become celebrities because they just happen to be, you know, doing their civic duty. They just happen to be impaneled on a jury, and the day after the verdicts are handed down, they're all given interviews. It's insane. It's like this whole genre of celebrity jurors. No, it doesn't help, Josie. I agree. Yeah, I don't know about that. Possibly Joey. The jurors were sent for a few seconds, especially or seen the foreperson as he was escorted out of the court. Well, that's bad because I mean that you're kind of meant to be anonymous. You are here. I mean, a juror. You know, I mean, especially if you hand down a verdict that's unpopular, like why would you want your face known? You know. Yeah, the jurors are chatting all over the place. Hello, lady. Well, I know, but it's just weird because you can't do that here. I mean, once in a million gazillion years, 20 years after a trial or something, a juror might write a book, but it's not common here. It's like these real life trials are entertainment. Even the jurors become celebrities. It's so weird to me. I'm in the minority that don't think they proved he did it. Do I think he might have paid someone? Yes. But that TikTok didn't prove it enough for me unless I heard the gun cocked and shot. Yeah, I mean the TikTok video really was the the straw that broke the camel's back, you know, like that was the thing. But I'm with you, like I mean it showed that he lied, but I mean we already knew he lies about fucking everything, right? Um they were so quick too in reaching their verdict. One of the jurors who I heard being interviewed was saying how when they first went into the room to deliberate, there were a couple, like three, I think, people there were two that were not guilty and one that wasn't sure. But then within 3 hours, they were all all unanimous. Or the Snapchat. Yeah, no, he lied about fucking everything. And seriously, I mean, if you're gonna lie about little things, why wouldn't you lie about a massive thing like killing your wife and kid, you know? I mean, come on, what, you suddenly become an honest man when there's murder in the mix, but you've lied about really small things and also big things like stealing from clients and the law firm? I actually think the housekeeper, well, not the housekeeper, the carer for his parents, I think her evidence was pretty compelling about him, you know, rocking up to the house. He lied to his own son about shoes in prison, saying people wanted to buy his shoes. Yet he's not even with other prison. Really? God. No, 3 hours. It was pretty quick, wasn't it? He is. He's just a liar. Total liar and thief. Wonder if his lawyers, dear friends, knows the whole truth. Well, as a lawyer, there's only two opportunities you can get to not represent someone. One is a conflict of interest, which, is standard, not even with criminal trials, but I mean, we have to do conflict checks where I work. You can't represent someone if you've been representing the other side. And then the other way you can decline a client is if they sit in front of you and say, I'm guilty of this, but I want you to run a not guilty plea. Now, have I represented people who pleaded not guilty that I think did it? Yep. But it's up to the prosecution to prove it. And on many occasions, they didn't, and my clients were acquitted because it boils down to proving the case. I know, Josie, imagine like video footage of all these girls with their duck-faced lips lip syncing to some song being admitted as evidence in a trial. It's going to happen. God. I'm already concerned about the job that I've got. Like, we're getting this young, because I represent workers, and we've got this young generation of inverted commas workers, and I'm using that term very loosely, who have just got the most warped view on their value and their entitlements and rights. And I don't want to be representing, I don't want this age group to be the bulk of my clients because they're going to do my head in. The stuff that's been happening in the last few months where I work with this young generation of clients, oh my God, it's a fucking nightmare. They want the world and they're not prepared to do or give much at all in return. And it just, one day I'll be able to talk about some of them, but very loosely. But the things I've been asked to do for these kids, and I'm like, this isn't how the real world or the law works, guys. Like, you don't get a participation ribbon in law. Sorry. If you've been wronged, I will fight to the death for you, but you're asking me to do shit that I'm not paid to do. I'm not your mum or your dad. You've actually got to take some responsibility. Like, you say to them things like, can you need to sit down and do a chronology, and they're like, well, I've talked to you about it. Why can't you do the chronology? And it's like, because I haven't got your full chronology. Like, you need to do that. Oh, really? Yeah, you do. You know how to use your phone and your laptop. You're fucking on them all day, every day doing your little TikTok videos. I think you can spend an hour writing a fucking chronology. Who needs DNA when I'm doing a video everyone can interpret 50 ways? Oh, there's some great comedians on TikTok for sure. There was a YouTube situation 3 years ago. People were telling the cops to look for evidence on locale. Really? I would love, like, in cases like the Idaho murders, at the end of it, for the cops to say, we received 80,000 tip-offs from people who'd seen and heard shit on YouTube. Like, to actually give us the data of how many of these wankers are calling the tip lines with something they heard JLR say on YouTube. See you, beautiful Joey. Thanks for popping in. I know I need to get to work shortly. I have a full day. Hopefully no millennial clients or Gen, whatever the generation under them, they're turning a bit strange too. Oh my God, it's so weird. Yeah, the wine mums. There should be a doco on 4chan though, and the wine mums for sure. Because when I was pretending to be a wine mom when I was driving, and they actually thought it was me, and they were saying, "You sound like a dude." I was like, "Oh my God, I'm doing a parody of the wine moms, and it's genius, you bastards. Lighten up a little." I was really enjoying it while I had some 4chan people commenting under my videos. I mean, one of them wrote something ridiculous, but for the most part, they were quite entertaining. I love trolls and funny trolls in this community. We're all about them. If they're clever and they can be witty, bring it on. Because I love bouncing off funny people. But if they're just being pricks, no, forget it. But yeah, I got called a wine mom. And I was like, no, I'm doing a parody of a wine mom, you fucking idiots. But yeah, I got called an R word, and they said driving on the wrong side of the road makes you look like a R-tard, basically. And it was held for review by YouTube, and I so wanted to reply and say, no, your comment makes you sound like one. But anyway. It's all good fun until somebody loses an eye, right? So yeah, I've got stuff to do on the tubes, and hopefully the weather will get a bit more feral, and I'll be less inclined to be in the surf all day, which I am thoroughly enjoying. But guys, thank you for sticking with me, because I know, I mean, I haven't even done anything on my other channel for like 2 weeks. That's kind of how you kill your channel, is just to stop doing stuff. But I just don't have the luxury of a spouse with an income who can support me while I build my communities. But we do have a very funny community, and we are getting some new peeps coming in. It's really good to see you, Josie, and also little Moddy Groover, if you're still here, little Mob Watch. And have a great day or night wherever you be. Thanks, Josie. I'm glad you do. Not many people appreciate humor on YouTube. Have you noticed that? Like, I love it when I go into a chat and there's a couple of people in there that are cracking jokes. I'll start chatting to them straight away, because it's like, there'd be rare humorous people here. Bring it on. We still, despite all this shit that's going on YouTube, you still got to laugh about it, as fucked up as it is. If we stop laughing, we'll just all end up in therapy. All right, beautiful peeps. Look after yourselves, and remember, until next time, don't get hit by, don't get struck by a smooth criminal.